Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Sheeta. Today on the show, PDP elders worried over worsening crisis between former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Governor Wike as pressure mounts on Senator Ayu to resign. And later on the show, federal government says terrorists refused to free train passengers despite releasing wife of leader sending plane to pick their children. In the course of the program, we'll take your questions, but first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. I have joining me via Zoom all the way from Katsina State, the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. It's good to see you, BKO.
Thank you. It's good to see you too, Brian.
All right, quickly, without further ado, the PDP elders have been thrown into confusion as a result of the worsening crisis between former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Governor Wike, with Governor Wike insisting that for peace to reign, the party chairman, Senator Ayu, must resign from office. How are you reading this mood within the PDP?
I think that I agree absolutely with Governor Wike and others like former national chairman of the party, Kawu Baraje, who have said that in line with the tradition of the party, it makes sense to do the kind of balancing that they had always done. Over the years, once a particular part of the country produces the presidential candidate of the party, the other part, that is now talking about North and South, there had always been balancing in the PDP between the North and the South. So once the North, for example, produces the presidential, the national chairmanship of the party will go to the South. This is something that the PDP had done over the years. When Goodluck Jonathan became president, in the event of the death, the unfortunate death of President Umaru Yar'Adua, Vincent Ogbulafor, who was the national chairman of the party, had to go so that Goodluck Jonathan will not be president and the presidential candidate of the party, Goodluck Jonathan will not be president and the national chairman of the party will also come from the South. This has been the tradition of the PDP. So if Wike is talking about that now, if he's asking that that tradition should be maintained, I think he's right. He has not said anything unheard of or anything bad. And I'm not surprised that one of the former chairmen of the party, Kawu Baraje, has also come out to say, yes, at this time, let tradition be maintained. We can't suddenly jettison tradition at this stage. So that being one of the demands of Governor Wike is a valid one. The PDP should not be a party that people will see as the party of northern Nigeria, because it makes no sense. The PDP has far more governors from southern Nigeria than northern Nigeria. Why should it then be seen as a party that is meant for the north alone? So there has to be balancing in the party. You can see, looking at it.
Oh, that's quite unfortunate.
Looking at the APC now, that balance has already been achieved with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu being the standard bearer of the party. But in the case of the PDP, that balance has not happened. The balance in the APC happened fortuitously because the national chairman had been elected by consensus and been chosen by consensus or picked by consensus, and then the presidential primaries of the party produced a southerner. So that is a natural balance that has been achieved. That sort of balance has to be achieved in the PDP. How they are going to do it, I don't know. But those who are saying that in line with the tradition of the party, this should be done, I think that they have a point there.
Yeah. So, you know, this is coming at a time other leaders of the PDP are also mounting pressure on Senator Ayu to step down. But sources within the party are of the view that Atiku Abubakar does not want to throw Senator Ayu under the bus by easily giving into Governor Wike's condition. Should matters remain unresolved, what impact do you think this can have on the chances of the PDP in the general elections?
Well, if they carry on like this ahead of the general election, those who are opposed to the idea of having both the presidential candidate and the national chair of the party come from the same geographical region are going to work against the party. Some of them would begin to push the argument that the PDP had become a party for the North. And if this kind of argument is sustained, it will work against the party in its traditional stronghold. The traditional stronghold of the PDP in the post-2015 era is Southern Nigeria. And it shows when you look at the number of governors from the South, they are definitely higher than the number of governors from the North. So the South, the Southeast had always been dominated by the PDP. And these are, if you have at least 9 states that at all times you always dominate elections there, that is a strength. So in order not for their party members to begin to see the party as a party for the North, then this has to be addressed, in my view. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that it happened to be one of the issues, I mean, one of the grounds upon which Wike is rebelling. But it is a valid ground. It is a valid ground, and we've seen that happen in the past with this same party. This same party, it is in its constitution. Rotation of power from North and South is enshrined in its constitution. So it should not do anything that would make people to think that it's not going against its tradition by allowing the presidential candidate as well as the national chairman to come from the North.
Right. So I read that a close ally of the PDP presidential candidate said that the River State governor's remarks and actions do not show he wants to be carried along by the party. Do you see Governor Wike as someone who is ready to reconcile?
As I've said in the past, he is someone that you deserve to have on your side. He's a warrior, he's a fighter, and he speaks his mind. He's not afraid to speak his mind. When you have him on your side, you know that you have a Trojan, you have a strong person on your side. So in the interest of the PDP, yes, he may look cantankerous, he may be difficult to manage, but he is someone that the party has to manage very well because of the strengths that he brings, because of what he brings to the table. He's been a good servant of the party. committed his resources to the party at a time when some were afraid, you know, of standing up to be counted. Wike had never been afraid to be counted on the side of the PDP. He's provided his resources in an unparalleled manner. So this is someone that you have to manage because of the strengths that he has, because of what he brings to the table. Because at the end of the day, he's not an ordinary party man. He is a party man with capacity. He's a party man that can hurt the party if the party decides that it is time to call his bluff. I think that is someone that they need to manage him carefully. It's like a bottle of 7-Up that you need to uncork slowly, because if you uncork a bottle of 7-Up quickly, the content is going to spill on your body. If Kano is not managed, if Wike is not managed carefully, the blowback will be very bad for the party. So I was not surprised that during an interview yesterday, Dino chose his words carefully, because he knows the danger of going on TV to abuse someone like Yison Wike. So they have to manage him properly. And I believe that the meetings that they have begun, if both parties are sincere to one another, those meetings will yield dividends in the end, and the PDP will be a much stronger party. I believe that the PDP is stronger with Wike on their side than without Wike on their side.
So I'm thinking, reading beyond the headlines or between the lines, the ongoing, well, let's say the recent inaugurated projects by Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, were invited first, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and then he invited former Sokoto Governor, Aliyu Wamako, and he also invited the incumbent Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu, what's it called? Gbadagbe Amila. So, do you read any meanings to all of these?
The meaning that I can read is that he's playing mind games with his people in the PDP. He's playing mind games with them. He is sending all kinds of signals, reminding them that he could embarrass the party if they do not listen to his demands. So this does not mean that he wants to leave the APC. I've said before that what will make him happy is for him to install his own person as the next governor of Rivers State. And he wants the Accountant General of the state to become the next governor of Rivers State. Joining the APC is out of the equation, because if he decides to join the APC, that means that he has to support the candidate of the APC. That's not what he wants to do. Now, by bringing people from the rival parties to come and inaugurate projects in the state, I think it's just playing mind games, just pulling the legs of the PDP leaders and drawing attention to the need for them to deal with the issues that he has brought forward. They have to address the Wike matter as soon as possible, because at this time they ought to have begun campaigns. They ought to have set up their campaign committee and all that. But even the NEC meeting that was supposed to hold yesterday was also postponed. All of this are related to the crisis between the Wike camp and the Atiku camp. They've got to find a way to solve that problem. And I am happy that even Atiku realizes that this is not a person that you can simply discard. He is too big in the party to be ignored. He is too big to be toyed with. So they need to look at his demands and see how they can come to a middle ground. But the truth is, the party has never stuck with a national chairman from the north, as well as presidential candidates from the north. The tradition of the PDP is to balance things up. I think that ultimately the Yochia Ayu has to give way for someone else to become the national chairman of the party. Otherwise, the consequences may be unpalatable for the party.
Yeah, so we understand that Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who is the presidential candidate for the People's Democratic Party, is looking towards, looking down south to pick his Director General for his campaign. Do you think it would be nice to pick Wike, suggestively that he should pick Wike, or bringing it down south will pacify the aggrieved party, Wike, or how do you see it? Is that the best move? Should Wike be picked? Would he accept? Because I read somewhere else that Governor Seyi Makinde actually rejected the offer because he said he's got his own ambition to also pursue running for a second term, and because he also sympathizes, with Governor Wike. Maybe that's the reason he rejected it, but I've not been able to substantiate it. I didn't know. I'm not sure whether you've seen the story as well. So how do you react to this quickly?
The problem is we don't know what is true these days. All kinds of stories, and later on you discover that it's not true. We were told that Wike had removed the flags of the PDP in his office. Those who said that were looking for a way to convince us that Wike was romancing the APC, but he has come out to say that that was a lie. He even swore against the people who came up with that story. We were also told that he had made up his mind to sue Atiku, to challenge Atiku's victory in the primary election. Again, he has debunked that claim. So, in this case, I wouldn't know whether indeed Atiku has plans to pick someone from the south to support, as DG of his campaign. I think it makes sense to go down south to do that because it needs as many votes as he can get from the south. As for whether Wike would agree to be the DG of his campaign, yes, I believe that a governor who is in a second term is best suited for that kind of job because he won't be distracted, with his own ambition for re-election. So he has to choose somebody, a governor who is on second term. I'm not sure that Wike would want to accept that, but among some of Wike's friends, we have Governor Samuel Otom, is a second-term governor. He could look in his direction. We have the governor of Taraba, is non-aligned, is neither with Wike nor with Atiku as far as I know. So that's another person that he can use if he will agree to it. And of course, the Southwest also needs to be pacified. That is one part of Nigeria that has never produced a national chairman of the PDP. They thought they would get it the other time, but Wike and others pushed hard for an Ijaw man in Secondus to become the national chairman. So the Southwest is there too. He has to look, he can look in that direction and pick someone because he needs the votes from the Southwest and he needs to pacify the PDP members from the Southwest because they've never been considered for the national chairmanship of the party. So there are all kinds of possibilities that Atiku can look at. But this is a difficult problem for him, he has to find a way to resolve the Wike logjam so that the party can move ahead.
He says that this would never be an issue if Atiku approached Wike in the early days after primaries and appealed to him. The sycophants of Atiku have misguided him to ignore and belittle Almighty Wike. Well, that's his own opinion. But because of our time, we need to change tack by looking at the recent development from the presidency, where the presidency itself says that it would be unfair to criticize the government for not doing anything to free the kidnapped victims of the Abuja-Kaduna train. It said the terrorists refused to free the train passengers despite releasing a wife of the kidnappers' leader, sending plane to pick their children. This is an amazing twist, BKO.
Yes, you know, a famous cleric from northern Nigeria thoroughly abused the president. He told the president that his heart is extremely dry. He described him as an unfeeling president and wondered whether if President Buhari's children or his wives were among the train victims, that he wouldn't do his best to have them freed. That particular audio clip from the cleric was, went viral after the bandits released a video in which they were flogging the train victims and the abducted train passengers in a very wicked manner. They were flogging them vigorously. So many Nigerians were really pained by those visuals, by that video. And that cleric had to come out that, why are you this wicked? We voted for you, but we never knew you were like this. You are so unfeeling. Your heart is extremely dry. So many people would easily have believed that cleric, that the president was also unfeeling, was unkind. But the interview that Garuba Shehu granted to the BBC Hausa service, I'm sure that even that one, the choice of BBC Hausa service was a carefully made one as to address the remarks made by that Muslim cleric, because he spoke in Hausa and he was extremely harsh in his criticism of the president. I've never seen anybody that harsh on the president in terms of the kinds of words that he used to describe the president. Now, we've seen that it wasn't as if the government was not making moves. Yes, the government once told us that, look, the demands that these people are making cannot be fulfilled. That was early into the whole kidnap drama. But what Garuba Shehu has told the world through BBC Hausa service shows clearly that government was negotiating with these people. We often hear from the people in government that, no, we didn't negotiate, we didn't pay ransom, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. But here was Garuba Shehu admitting that they negotiated with these bandits and met their demands, to the point of even using a jet to go and bring their family members, to go and bring their kids. The wife of one of the bandit leaders that was pregnant was taken to hospital where she was delivered of twins. Government even moved her to the family house of the bandits so that she can live with her twins with the parents of the bandits, the bandit leader. And their children that they said were in Yola, they were put in a private, in a jet, and taken to a destination that he didn't really tell us. Well, at least they met the demands of these guys. But rather than release, they were thinking government was was led to believe that once it met those initial demands, that all the train passengers will be released. But that's not what we have seen. So when you negotiate with these guys, you provide what they ask for. They begin to see themselves in a position of strength to even make other unreasonable demands. If you pay them money, they will use that money to buy new weapons that will now make them stronger and make them become not just a threat to our innocent people in our communities, but even to our armed forces. We've seen them we've seen terrorists use some very dangerous weapons against our army, including the multiple rocket launcher. They once had it. And this is something that destroys anything in its path. So, and some of them, they were even the ISWAP guys even had MRAP, mine-resistant vehicles. Can you imagine? So, the more money you pay them, the more money you give them by way of ransom, the stronger they become. They will now be able to buy and what they usually do is they will demand for foreign currency so that they can use that foreign currency to buy weapons in the black market. And you know where the black market is. Libya, you know, bringing weapons through Chad and Niger into our country. There are thriving black markets in all of those places. Because of the unrest in Burkina Faso, in Mali, these weapons are readily coming into our country. So government knows that it is dangerous for it to funnel funds to terrorists and bandits because they will use those funds. Those funds will make them stronger against us. That's why government is reluctant. So I guess it was at the point when they began to ask for money that government decided that it could no longer continue to negotiate with them. But of course, they've been collecting money from the abductees. A minimum of 100 million is what they're asking for the abductees, except if they've changed. They've already received up to 2 billion naira from the people that they abducted. So this is a terrible situation. Unless we defeat these people, unless we descend on them with the full might of our country, of our country's armed forces, all this nonsense will not stop. These guys are already seeing themselves as alternative government. You saw the mail that the governor of Kaduna State sent the president. They are already ruling over some communities in Kaduna State where people pay taxes to them. So the earlier we get serious about the threat that these bandits constitute and deal decisively with that threat, destroy them, identify their locations, drop munitions on them, make it impossible for them to harm our people, harm our armed forces. Unless we do that, this won't be the last that will happen. I know that government is just simply waiting now for all of these guys to be released. Once they are released, they want to resume business on that Kaduna Abuja train service. But what is the guarantee that that is the last time that people will be kidnapped? Not just on that road, but along that rail corridor. What is the guarantee that a whole luxury bus cannot be hijacked the same way they hijacked this train and the people taken into the bush? It is how we respond to these matters that will determine whether in the coming years Nigerians will be able to live happily in their country without the threats that bandits and terrorists constitute. They have now become like a government within a government. This is a very big shame.
Absolutely.
It's a very big shame, and I expect this government to solve this problem, because this problem was not created by this, but it got really worse under this administration. They can't deny. So they have an obligation to solve this problem before they leave. And it is still possible. A decisive military campaign against these guys across the contiguous states that link one another, targeting the major forests where they live, Rugu Forest, Dumburam, and other forests where these guys live, Dansadao Forest. A coordinated military campaign involving the surface troops and the Air Force would deliver victory to our country. Our country is a great country. Why this is happening to us is a matter of personal shame to me.
Yeah, BKO.
I grew up loving the army, respecting the Nigerian army, loving the army to the point that I was consuming every literature that I could lay my hands on the military.
BKO, let me quickly...
At that time, the Nigerian military was not powerless.
Yeah,
I still think that the Nigerian military can deliver the decisive blow and defeat these good-for-nothing people. It has to stop. This nonsense has to stop.
Absolutely, BKO. It's our pain. I feel it, and it's something that Nigerians are really tired about. Fabian Akeze says, you can tell that the federal government have exhausted their strategies. The question is, why the president refused to ask for external help? Paying ransom is not sustainable, and Nigeria may become the next Libya. I want to link it to the second question from Chimere H. Achlefu. It says, Jide, doesn't the country have special forces? It seems very odd that one single rescue effort has been attempted.
Well, of course, we have special forces. We have the Air Force have special forces. They've even been deployed in the northwest in the past, in Zamfara and other places. The Nigerian Army has special forces. They've also been deployed in many areas of operation. But I don't know the capacity of our special forces. When you talk about American special forces, the kind of training, the kind of orientation, the capacity that the Navy SEAL, for example, the Navy SEAL, when you are talking about the American Navy SEAL, the kind of training that they have, the technology at their beck and call, the equipment, the game-changing equipment that they have, that enables them to track and pinpoint the location of the enemy. I don't think we have all of that. I don't think the training of the Nigerian Special Forces comes close to what the American Special Forces get by way of training. I've seen our own Special Forces, I've interacted with them closely in the Northeast. And I'm saying that I do not think that they've got what it takes to do the kind of job, search and rescue, that we want, some of us want them to do. I don't think that they've got that capacity. I really don't think that they've got that capacity.
Right.
We will get there someday, but I don't think we are there yet. And there is always a reluctance to launch efforts to make efforts to rescue because of the fear that many of the victims will die. They are always, the people surrounding them are always heavily armed. So they are waiting for you to launch an attack. So, and if you try it, they will slaughter those people. It's happening all the time. The Air Force will see them where they put them. They see them. But what can you do?
BKO, very
What
quickly.
can you do if you attempt to drop paratroopers on the location? You will risk the lives of those people. So they don't want to do that. It's not as if they do not know where they are. Even if they constantly move these people, they know where they are because they are left in the open. They are not keeping them in a house. But how do you rescue them without a huge collateral damage happening? So this is the thing. So the best we can do is to not allow it to happen. Right. Once you allow them to take people away, it becomes extremely difficult, if not impossible, to take those people back unless you pay ransom.
Absolutely, BKO. We're out of time, but let me quickly squeeze in this question from Mark Oyide, who says, BKO, is it not time the agreement constricting the Tucano jet to the northeast revised or is revised?
Good question.
Very quickly.
Okay, good question. I thank you for that question. It's part of what I'm doing in some of these locations that I visited in the last 1 week. I can confirm to you, by the grace of God, that the Air Force has begun to use the Tucanos outside of the Northeast. That has been confirmed to me by the Air Force. They've begun to use the Tucanos outside of the Northeast. And hopefully, in fact, in the last few days, there are some results that emanating from some of the battle scene assessment conducted have shown that the Tucanos have begun to do a good job of neutralizing some of the enemies of the Nigerian state in the Northwest and North Central. So they've begun to use them in the Northwest and North Central. I can confirm to you that in the Shiroro area, they've used the Tucano jets and they are using them again in the Northwest. So the use of the Tucanos is no longer limited to the Northeast. I can confirm that through this medium because I've spoken to the people concerned and they've given me that piece of information that they've begun to use the Tucanos outside of the Northeast. So the chains are broken. These guys are seen as terrorists by the Nigerian state, and we are beginning to use the Tucanos against them.
Right, makes sense. That's breaking news. You know, always first with breaking news, the TVC channel just giving us that information, and I guess that is coming out for the first time. So the Tucano jet is being deployed elsewhere other than the Northeast. That's what BKO has just confirmed for us. Stanley Maduka says, Mr. Ibrahim Shita, why is it that you read Fabian Akaze's message every Saturday and ignoring mine? Are we not your audience? Of course, you are our audience, but we would like to appeal that whenever you write to us, whenever you make comments, because there are avalanche of comments coming into whenever BKO is talking. Everyone wants to ask questions one at a time. So make sure your question addresses the issue, not asking something different from the issue, and then put it very easy for us, make it easy for us to read out and, you know, mainly address the issue. BKO, we are coasting home. Your final thoughts.
I've been a juju Fabian case that they use.
No be juju be that.
No be juju be that, Fabian. Why be saying only you that they read your comments? No be juju be that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We don't ignore comments. There are so many comments here, and there are some comments that are, you know, inciting, and we can't read them because some are, if we read them out, they might divide Nigeria, and that is not the cause. That's not the reason we are here. The reason we are here is to share BKO's views as regards happenings in Nigeria and the world, and how we can come together, rally around ourselves, the government, so that we'll have a better Nigeria at the end of the day. And that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, BKO, for those insightful analyses as always. And thank you to our audience for joining us on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.